Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and those of you tuning in thinking that I'm going to be covering the MMA event last night are wrong. That's not what I'm covering in this. In fact, no matter whether you follow sports, mixed martial arts, the UFC, anything out there, really need to hear what Dana White is about to say. Because I was watching the post-fight presser, in the background doing some stuff today on the computer, and I'm like, man, you know what? It's pretty wise of him to say this. So before we get anywhere else, during COVID 1984, guys, I have been deemed harmful content and fully demonetized on the channel. So before we get started, I want to remind everybody this is how I do it. $5, $10, $15 means the world to me. Big donors. Make sure you're thumbing this video up, you're subscribing, you're sharing, and do remember that all my documentary films are free in the playlist section right under this. See, we utilize technology. So, let's get back to Dana White. What are we going to be talking about here? Well, during the post-fight presser, he's basically being pretty cavalier of some of his top stars, saying they want more money. I'm going to do a separate video on McGregor announcing his retirement. Clearly another power play for more money. But Dana realizes he's the only game in town. And he even discusses how there are more eyes on whoever wants to fight right now than ever. But that's not what the big announcement is here. Basically, Dana White says, you know what? People don't get it. Call me Mr. Negative, but the worst is yet to come. All this is going on, nothing's happening, the economy shut down, but somehow the stock market's going up. He's telling you there's going to be massive layoffs. So I'm going to not put words in his mouth. And then he kind of fights the lockdown mentality in a later diatribe, which we're going to highlight. But I think this is really important to hear.
A lot of people are confused. A lot of people are angry and scared, and whatever their thing is. There's a lot of that going on right now, and believe me, I hate to be, Mr. Negative, but I don't even think, I don't think the worst is still yet to come. The worst is still yet to come. You're going to see a lot more people in this country getting laid off. If you just look at the financial situation, being off for 3.5 months, right? And you look at the stock market, and you're like, how the fuck does that make sense? Right? There's going to be a huge domino effect. It's going to start with layoffs, bankruptcies, and it's going to hit the real estate, and God knows what else. And this COVID shit, who the hell knows what's going to go on with that thing? And so these are, you see these commercials. These are very uncertain times. Yeah, you think?
So everything he said there basically is 100% accurate. Doesn't make sense that the stock market is somehow going up and the country and a vast majority of the world has been laid off for months at a time. How's that going to work? Well, again, I've been warning people. They're getting ready to lay off a bunch of people amidst this chaos. So, I may have my qualms with Dana White, but this isn't the MMA broadcast. We'll talk about this with Fitch, and we'll definitely talk about, the fighters asking for more money, etc. But Dana White's laying it on the line there, and, he talks a lot about fighting those powers that be just to open up, and so many people didn't want him to. Let's move to this really quickly. Thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share, guys.
Hiding in your house is not a solution for 4 or 5 months, And I get the whole flatten the curve. I stayed home. I did I did it too. How long are you going to stay home? How far are you going to let your business just collapse and your employees get laid off and make no money? None of that makes sense to me. I knew I could do this, so I did it.
And here's the thing. Now with all these riots out there and all these protests and people demanding reform, and the country already in large part starting to open up in most places, why are we even still kidding ourselves into all these testing mechanisms that they've made the UFC go through? Has there been one hospitalization or one death associated with the UFC and COVID-19 at all? They've put on 5 events now. I mean, has there been a hospitalization? Have we even gone that far? And again, we've been covering it. It just makes no sense to me how the economy is somehow just going to bounce back, especially when you're going to have billionaire, technocrat, predator class eugenicists like Michael Bloomberg, Bill Gates, and Eric Schmidt reimagining one of the largest economies in the country, New York State. And when I say economy, I mean everything. From their little contact trace force, right, to reimagining education, to smart cities with Eric Schmidt. Now, I want to play it again because I think it's important. They hear what Dana White has said. And I hate to tell you, but if you're in a situation right now where they're talking about remote work and all that other stuff, remember, the end goal isn't even just to get you on a UBI. It's an automation nation where human beings just aren't that important anymore.
I don't think the worst is still yet to come.
You know, let's bring it back even further. What is it, right around here?
Keep going. And we're, like I said earlier, we're 5 fights in, and it's still crazy, man. Still crazy, and a lot of people did not want this to happen. A lot of people did not want this to happen.
Why do you think that is?
It's like, that's what, like Kevin trying to ask me, why is this going on? Why are these people doing this? I can't tell you why. I think that's part of the thing too right now. A lot of people are confused. A lot of people are angry and scared and whatever their thing is.
So let's stop it there. Even that is pretty observant. He says, I can't tell you why. But again, this is a big power grab. When you see how much power not only government and the state have gotten, but again, those billionaires at the top and these people on Wall Street, it's essentially a pump and dump scam right now. They got the large majority of the bailout. They've artificially inflated the market, and then they're setting you up for mass layoffs. Listen to this.
There's a lot of that going on right now, and believe me, I hate to be, Mr. Negative, but I don't even think, I don't think the worst is still yet to come. The worst is still yet to come. You're going to see a lot more people in this country getting laid off. If you just look at the financial situation, being off for 3.5 months, right? And you look at the stock market, and you're like, how the fuck does that make sense, right? There's going to be a huge domino effect. It's going to start with layoffs, bankruptcies, and it's going to hit the real estate, and God knows what else. And this COVID shit, who the hell knows what's going to go on with that thing.
And if you think about that, the threat of a second wave, no matter what, their propaganda infrastructure is 100% in place right now. So again, this not a real MMA video, guys. I know we do them from time to time, and I'm also going to be doing a McGregor video. For those that don't know, there's a plethora of evidence, if you're new to the channel, that McGregor is a violent serial rapist, and guys like Dana White actually helped cover that up. But that doesn't mean what he just said wasn't true. So thumbs this video up, subscribe, share. Remember, I'm fully demonetized on this channel because I'm dropping truth bombs, son. And really, if John Jones and Jorge Masvidal really wanted to go for the throat, they would point that out. That guys like Dana White, the UFC, WME Entertainment, and Reebok outwardly promote what they know is that there's a large amount of evidence that McGregor is a violent rapist. Just putting it out there. $5, $10, $15 means the world to me. Big donors. We need it now more than ever, especially with the full demonetization. We're hoping to stay on this platform because there's really nothing hateful that I've said today. Nothing harmful. Told you the truth. I've used the language of these people in many cases. And sometimes the truth is hard. So make sure you subscribe, thumbing them up. Remember, in the playlist section, right here, right down here, documentaries, right here, you can kind of see shade. It's behind the Jason Burmis there. I can't go down any further. You can watch Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture. Shade the Motion Picture, so important, guys. Please go check it out. And then go check me out over on Rockfin and other platforms as well. Thank you for joining me, guys. I love you, and I'll see you on the flip side.